So because my life is tremendously boring at the moment, I have instead decided to live in the past and do these photo vlogs of my past trips back when travel was still possible or viable. So after my Taiwanese visa was about to expire, I went around looking for the warmest and most ridiculous looking winter jacket, and I took a Hello Kitty plane into Sapporo, Hokkaido in northern Japan. Sapporo is one of my favorite places to take photos because it combines Japan with lots of snow. In Tokyo, if you want to see snow, you have to be extremely lucky. It doesn't even happen every year, or if it happens, it's like at 3 a.m. you get like 4 flakes of snow. You really gotta be super lucky to catch like a proper snowy day in Tokyo. Like last time it happened properly was I think in 2018, but on the other hand in Sapporo it snows like half the days during January in general. So I'm just gonna narrate the rest of this Sapporo photo vlog, partly because as you can tell my on-camera microphone just really kind of sucks and I don't have a good one yet, so the audio quality is much kinder on your ears with this narration, I feel. The first time I ever went there, I took some of my favorite photos of all time, and I wanted to go back for a couple of reasons. Well, first of all, it's really fun to take photos there and visit there, but also I wanted to kind of try to complete the photo series that I was working on. I titled it Winter in Japan very creatively, and I kind of wanted to see if I could take different types of photos of the city, as well as travel to the other cities in Hokkaido as well, such as Otaru and Asahikawa, because last time I literally just stayed in Sapporo and I kind of missed out on the surrounding cities. So after my glorious Hello Kitty Eva Air plane landed in Sapporo, I took a taxi into my hotel in Susukino. Usually it's easier to just take the train and also cheaper, but at the time I had like 40 plus kilos of luggage, so I just didn't want to bother with carrying that in public transport, so I chose the taxi option. I think my driver was either a very nice guy or happy about the fare. I can't tell, honestly.
Okay. どうもありがとうございます。
My hotel was in Susukino, which is the red light district in the central area of Sapporo, and therefore the best area to take street photos as well. And this is the view from the top floor of my hotel. By the way, there's many good Airbnbs in Sapporo. This time I just wanted to stay in a hotel because I wanted gym access, because I didn't know how long I wanted to stay in the city, and I didn't want to, fall off the wagon in terms of working out. And this hotel actually had a Lawson attached to it downstairs, so like every other night for dinner I would have these fried chicken nugget things, so definitely managed to keep very healthy. As you know, chicken nuggets have plenty of protein. But now I'm gonna shut up about the chicken nuggets and actually talk about the photography part. So I was in Sapporo in order to shoot the snowy scenes, so I actually use AccuWeather app for the radar, and then I basically just camp the radar and go out whenever it looks like it's going to snow. I was actually quite unlucky for the first week or so. It didn't really snow during the daytime, but for some reason every time it snowed it was like 2 a.m. so I ended up going out at like 2 a.m. every time. Luckily it's Japan, and even though it is the so-called red light district, it is extremely safe to go out there, even if you are a tiny child or a woman. Although I do not bear any responsibility if something happens to you, I can still recommend it. Now the photos that I got during the first 5 or so days in Sapporo weren't actually very good, because there wasn't that much snow, and it was only snowing during like really late night or early morning hours, so nobody was out, or none of the lights of any buildings were on, so it was kind of it was difficult to get good photos. And on top of that, every time it did snow, it wasn't very heavy, and it was just light snow. And I was kind of just trying to take new types of photos. I didn't want to take the obvious photos that I'd already taken. So as a result, I really struggled during the first 5 or so days. So after struggling in Sapporo a bit, I decided it's finally time to head to another city. So the first day trip that I did was to Otaru. It's about an hour away by train. I think it was an hour, and I'm not going to Google it. I just feel like it was an hour. Otaru is an interesting city. It's a lot smaller than even Sapporo, so there's very little people around. Kind of surprisingly little, actually, because it's not that small of a city. But I guess maybe because of the it was so close to the New Year's that a lot of Japanese people had been, well, they tend to disappear around that time. And I did get some snow during like 8 to 9 p.m. and then the last train was like 10 p.m. But once again, it wasn't very heavy and there weren't that many people around, and I didn't know the city. So again, I struggled quite a bit in taking really good photos that I was expecting, so I was kind of disappointed. Funnily enough, the best photos during my day trip to Otaru actually came in Sapporo and Otaru stations while shooting the trains and the people there. I think this year was particularly dry because the first time I went there was way more snow and it was way heavier. So kind of just got unlucky this year. Normally there would be more snow, I think. The last few days of 2019 were actually so warm that there was no possibility of seeing any more snow. But it did rain, and I'd actually never seen Sapporo in the rain before, so that was an opportunity to take some new kinds of shots, and I actually started to be happy with the results for the first time on this trip, finally. It was really wet and slippery walking around in that kind of a slushy, half snow, half water, rain, ice kind of an environment, especially considering I only have one pair of shoes that are not very waterproof, so you gotta be careful about falling and slipping, and probably a good idea to get some proper winter shoes before you come to Sapporo. I simply didn't have the room, I didn't want to waste the shoes, so I stuck with my sneakers, and I bought these shoe warmers and in convenience stores that are really comfortable. But anyway, even though I was here to shoot mainly snowy photos, it was really nice to see Sapporo in the rain for a change. The reflections especially really come alive in this kind of rainy weather as opposed to snowy weather. And the few remaining days of 2019 didn't offer any kind of rain or snowfall. I shot a couple of regular street photos, but I didn't really focus on photography during those remaining days. But they turned out sort of okay, nothing special though. It's interesting to note that New Year's Eve in Japan is completely different from what it is in the West. I've spent one New Year's Eve in Japan, but it was in Tokyo, and Tokyo wasn't entirely dead. There was actually a lot of people, and obviously there's a lot more foreigners in Tokyo than in Hokkaido. But Sapporo, even the red light district, was completely dead during New Year's Eve. It's like the only time that I ever seen the bars close. There was nobody around because Japanese people don't celebrate New Year's Eve the same way that Westerners do. In Japan, it's more of a family holiday. People go back to their families. It's kind of like Christmas, and there wasn't even any fireworks. Not that I care about fireworks, but just maybe a thing to note if you plan to travel to Japan during New Year's and you're one of those people who really loves the party atmosphere of New Year's. Maybe Japan is not the best place to come during the change of the year. And with that, with the obvious transition from 2019 to 2020, the best year of all time, I think this is a good spot to split this vlog into two because it's getting quite long. The best photos of my trip to Hokkaido are probably still to come, so stay tuned for the next one. It should be ready in 1 or 2 weeks time, depending on how long it takes for me to edit. And hope to see you guys then. I really appreciate everyone who watches these videos, and Have a Merry Christmas, everyone.